Twins Fest Live has been put to sleep for the year, and we've got some news about how the organization is progressing as we approach spring training. But if you want to hear about it, you have to get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Every day. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to destination for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis, and probably 3 or 4 other things. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. I'm co-host David Brown, a professional ball writer since 1998, a BBWA member since 2012, and a Baseball Hall of Famer for 2 years. Please follow me on Twitter at @AnswerDaveBrown if you like, and you can also find me on Blue Sky. I don't want to say at @AnswerDave. I do this every time because they don't have the little ats.
Yeah, they do.
But, wait, they do? I thought they didn't.
No, they do.
Then what am I talking about?
Don't know.
You know what I'm talking about, though, don't you?
The ampersand? Or no, not the ampersand. The @ sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in front of your name on there.
Well, I know it is on here, but if you go to Blue Sky, didn't you say that you're just Warren?
@Warren, yeah. I'm pretty sure they do. You know what? On-air production.
Where am I getting this from then? And why haven't you corrected me before?
Because I just looked today.
And there's an @ there?
I'm pulling it up to see here. Using deck.blue, which is pretty cool. It's the X deck, tweet deck of
the
it.
Tweet
is,
deck. Don't call it X.
Yeah,
don't give him the satisfaction.
Like I'm looking at awfulannouncing.bsky
So Blue Sky does have the ats.
Yep. Tau of Steve. Lots of fun ones there.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know what to say. Here's what's coming up in this podcast. We played footsie with. Oh wait, did I say that you were here?
No, I think people figured it out. Yeah.
Brandon's here.
Hey,
he's at Brandon_Warren on Twitter, and then you can find him on Blue Sky @Warren. So, but there is an @ I've been saying there hasn't been. I've been saying that there hasn't been an @ and nobody corrected me. Apparently, I made it up, and then I said it a bunch of times, and nobody.
What is that called? Where you distinctly remember something that didn't happen? That's the Mandela effect, right?
It's the @Mandela effect.
You know what? I have a Mandela effect. I insist, and I'm apparently wrong, that reliever Lou Trevino used to be known as Louis Trevino, Loui, and I have
definitely not a thing.
Nope. No idea. And then also running back Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs. When I covered him in college football, I believe at Rutgers, I always thought his name was spelled Isaih, and which is counterintuitive, and I swear that's how I saw it on the website, but I've never seen it since. So Mandela's got his grip on me, I guess.
Yeah, he's got us all. He's got us all. I wish it was. I guess Mandela is a force for good, a benevolent force in the universe. So the Mandela effect, people think it's like bad, like we're ripping through the simulation or something, like in a Matrix kind of thing, where we're pulling back the curtain. But all right, so everybody, just all the things that I've said before about how there's no @ on Blue Sky, just pretend I didn't. You guys probably don't even. We're barely listening anyway. I'm sure you got it in the background. You're in a car. You're driving. You're like, yeah, okay. There's no @ on Blue Sky, whatever, and it just went right over your head too. So
perfect.
I'm sure there's no consequences. But
no.
Did I mention you yet, Brandon?
Now you have.
Right. Well, here's what's coming up on the podcast. We played footsie with Carlos Correa, who gave Dan Hayes of The Athletic and perhaps others. I didn't read the others, but I read Dan Hayes an update on his plantar fascia recovery. Plantar fascist.
Yep.
Correa also throws in his 2 cents on the Twins not spending any money this offseason. The Pohlads then proceeded to come in and swooped up those pennies. They've taken his 2 cents. We'll also discuss Joe Ryan's Terry's major journey which sounds like some kind of space travel, but isn't. And we'll talk about Torii Hunter saying, yes, I'll buy the Twins. And Corey Koski, one of my favorite Twins to talk to in the early aughts, 20 aughts, being honored by the club. But first, we want to know, Brandon, who's underwriting this?
Yeah, good evening, sports fans. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Again, Gametime, Locked On MLB, $20 off.
Game time.
Game time.
Carlos Correa intensive program tonight. He says he's ready for spring training. There was some fun, interesting, pertinent, and kind of, I think, funny notes about his talk. Did you? Hey, hang on a second. Speaking of Mandela Effect, did you say that Correa wasn't at Twins Fest?
He wasn't at Twins Fest Live. And so in your intro, you said Twins Fest Live is over. Twins Fest and Twins Fest Live are separate things. And I didn't clarify that to you.
So are they both really done? There's no more Twins Fest, right?
Right. Twins Fest Live is a one-night event. Twins Fest itself used to be the whole weekend and now is mostly just Saturday. And it's Signature Saturday. But the events are obviously both part of Twins Fest, but Twins Fest is the overarching umbrella. So Correa was there. In fact, a certain friend of the show saw him at the airport. And so you may have to go back and look for those tweets because that's maybe you didn't know you saw it in a separate area. But nevertheless, yes, he was at Twins Fest, but not Twins Fest Live.
So what happened at Twins Fest?
It's the Signature Saturday where they do autographs. But
that's not Twins Fest Live?
No, it's not live. It's pre-recorded. No, I mean, it's not called Twins Fest Live. Twins Fest Live is a new creation in the last 4 years since COVID.
Right.
And then Twins Fest, just Twins Fest proper, has existed for many, many years and used to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. And they've scaled it back for, I'm sure, lots of reasons.
All right. I'm not going to repeat myself that I'm still confused.
I have broken your brain.
You have. Maybe have.
Twins.
Maybe it's like a double Mandela Effect.
Yeah. No,
Twins I made it up and then I'm putting it. Not only did I make it up, about Blue Sky not having an act, but I put it on you, and now I'm doing it again with Twins.
So you're gaslighting me about the Mandela Effect.
I'm gaslighting myself and you. It's a double gaslight.
Yeah.
So apparently Carlos Correa was around. So This means other reporters talked to him. So I can't just. I mean, I give credit to Dan Hayes because that's what I read.
He may have gotten a one-on-one though. We don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't write it like he got a one-on-one.
Right.
So, anyway, so this is what Correa said. Let's finally get to the point, Dave. I feel great. This is Correa talking, not me. I've been focused on not only just treatment, but also strengthening, a lot of walking barefoot around the house. So all that's helping work on my toes and all that. So I'm in a really good spot. I can do everything that I usually do in the off season to get ready for a full season. I love the barefoot note. It reminds me of, how Olympians used to run barefoot. Yeah. And I think Zola Budd, she was a long distance runner in the 80s, married Decker Slaney rival. And there's probably like two people who know what I'm talking about, but like the old 2000 years ago, if there was a 2000 Olympics 2000 years ago in Greece, they ran barefoot, or naked even. They had nothing on. But really, I'm just talking about Correa's naked feet. That's
do rich people not walk around their house socksless, like without socks on?
I only wear socks at home, really.
Yeah.
At night when it's cold and we don't have the heat up or whatever,
right.
I'm usually barefoot.
It reminds me of that Carlos Gomez thing where he's eating kiwi and someone says, "What's up with that?" And he goes, "Oh, I was Googling rich people conversations now that I have money. And rich people eat kiwi because it's high in, I think it was zinc or something like that." And it just like that's what I'm thinking is like rich people wear socks around their house or slippers at all times. And I have just missed the boat on that.
Carlos Gomez was so funny.
Yes.
Oh, he was just, I mean, he played like that. He played with a joy, and he spoke with a joy. He had a funny speaking voice, and
Yes.
we are so off track. But he sounded like there's a movie called Sleeper. It's a Woody Allen movie. And Diane Keaton, there's some like real good non sequitur stuff. And Diane Keaton at one point, who is a woman, starts doing this Marlon Brando imitation. That's what Carlos Gomez's speaking voice sounds like, if you don't remember. It sounds like a female Marlon Brando talking.
It's in a video where the MLB players recite the Field of Dreams speech by James Earl Jones, and he's in that too. So you could pull that up. It's always worth watching and listening to, and I do it on opening day every year. But you can hear he's definitely got a unique tone and tenor of voice, and it's kind of funny. Ron Gardenhire used to call him LC1 and Alexi Casilla LC2, and it was Loose Cannon 1 and Loose Cannon 2.
Yeah, I don't remember that much about Alexi Casilla's personality, but it's funny that
very chill, quiet guy. I think it was more when you get them together, because there's like a Fox Sports North at the time, or whatever it was called, that Fox Sports Net. There's a video following them around for a day, and they're like eating plantains at Gomez's apartment and like just kind of hanging out. But they were definitely peas in a pod, I think would be fair to say.
I want to hang out and eat plantains with Carlos Gomez.
Yeah.
But until the time. So, I mean, and he talked about, Carlos Correa talked about not running on concrete as well. It's whenever I see these stories about what the guy isn't doing anymore, I always think, why weren't you not doing that in the first place? A, and B, does this mean we're going to get 140 games out of Carlos Correa? What do you think?
I mean, I'm naturally skeptical, but at the same time, again, it's good to see that guys are taking precautions. Yeah, why did they do that stuff in the first place? Or, are they just kind of practicing their talking points? And, maybe it's like, I don't know. I guess I've learned not to take too many things at face value, because sometimes in the spring, there's just a tendency to want to rationalize whatever you've done in the winter, whether you think it's significant or not. It's why we all make fun of best shape of his life and all that goofiness. So I am tepidly, cautiously optimistic about this, but I am not putting a crazy amount of stock into it. So I'm like, if I were to rate it, I'm like a 60% on that one.
I do like the note about how the barefoot note, because if you go online and who knows what you get with the algorithm these days on the search results, it says online, the internet tells you that working out barefoot is good for athletes. Now, look, why don't you play baseball barefoot then? I don't know. But there have been barefoot athletes. I mentioned the Olympians from millions of years ago, Zola Budd, and sometimes you get a barefooted kicker in the NFL.
Joe Jackson.
Field goals. He was just shoeless.
Yeah.
Joe Jackson wasn't necessarily barefoot Jackson. So,
I was talking about the father of Michael and all those guys.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Or the pop singer.
Yeah, there you go.
The piano player.
Right.
But we'll get to, and there's some other good talking points that Carlos Correa we can refer to with him, and we'll get to those after this commercial break.
I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. And one of my favorite memories was attending a concert just this last year. The energy and excitement were unforgettable at US Bank Stadium when I saw Metallica. Mammoth open for them. It was incredible. Gametime has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking for tickets to an upcoming Timberwolves game using the Gametime app. With Gametime Picks, I found amazing deals and could even see the view from my seat before I bought. Plus, the super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNMLB, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time.
Locked On Twins has returned. Brandon Warren and Dave Brown talking about what Carlos Correa was talking about at Twins Fest. Not Twins Fest Live, not at Blue Sky, not at Mandela Fest. Correa said that his plantar fasciitis is feeling better and he's ready to go and he can't wait for spring training and his feet are good. He's had issues in each of his feet the past 2 years, but we've apparently got good news on that. We'll knock on wood a little bit. Dan Hayes asked him in The Athletic about the potential sale of the Twins, the impending sale. I don't want to call it a potential sale because that might seem like the Pohlads they're going to keep him.
Right.
Correa said he had no reaction to the team's impending sale, at least on the record, but spoke with the front office and understands why the Twins have been stagnant in their roster building process this offseason. That's a fun way of putting it. Still, Correa continues to believe in the Twins, who are projected by Zips, thank you, Dan Zaborski, to win 88 games. Here's the quote that I don't like. We're in a spot now where we cannot invest. And it is what it is, Correa said. I hated to hear him say that because that is, he got that from Falvey or a Pohlad or whatever and is just kind of repeating it. And that's how they put it. We cannot invest right now. They make it seem like some sort of benevolent capitalist thing. Well, it's not a good time to invest. And, we've argued into the ether about why that's baloney. But it sort of, reinforces to me that, there's nobody really is going to be walking through that door. This is the Twins roster that we have. I think some people think that Falvey's waiting to make a great trade, waiting for the right moment. Maybe it'll happen. I think when I hear something like that, I am resigned to the fate that it's not going to.
But how curious is it that Dan wrote that and the Dylan Cease thing in the span of a few days?
Yeah. I mean, it is curious. And to me, that sounds like, hey, Dan, by the way, we're trying to get Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
This isn't, I'm lying to you right now, but I want you to put that out there.
And I think if Correa really wasn't trying to be a company man, he would say, will not invest instead of cannot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think he's being pragmatic, diplomatic, automatic, systematic, whatever you want to call him, and just kind of like going along to get along. And I think he also probably understands it's a temporary measure. It just happens to be a 2-year temporary measure that's in a window where adding could make this team pretty darn good. And I already think this team is pretty dang good. I mean, they've got some guys that you and I are not counting on that highly who could just tear it up. David Festa or, Edouard Julien has hit in the past. Jose Miranda has hit in the past. And those are not the big guys. Like, I love this roster. I think this roster is in a good place. I would tweak it a little bit. But I also think if you get the same group of guys back hungry last year that remember what it was like to play as the best team for 3.5 months of the year and then fall on your face, there's something to that concept as well. But again, I think Correa just took the company man line, and I don't know if I would say I respect him for it, but it would be easy to trash a team and their ownership in a moment where you knew they were leaving anyway, right? I mean, I don't know. He's got a contract for 3 more years or whatever it is, so he's not going anywhere. No trade clause. I think he did the right thing by the Pohlads from a media standpoint, but if he would have
did him a solid. I think he did him a solid. I guess.
Yeah.
That's. I just wish he wouldn't have been so. What's the word? Going along with it like it's
complicit,
inevitable. It's still a choice. It's a choice.
Complicit.
Yes, it's complicit, and he can't. He's a guy he's got their ear. Yep. He's got management's ear. What should we do, Carl? I mean, I don't know if it's that direct, but they they have conversations like that. What should we be doing?
Right.
And what's your opinion? We want to know. And it's just a little, but I mean, it's to me, it's revealing just how he put it. You said it. We're in a spot where we cannot invest. It's just, I wish he would have said not going to it. I don't know. I wish he hadn't said cannot, because that's not true. That's not true. And then it sort of turns into, we're going to do this ourselves. We're going to put it all together. The veterans, which reminds me of the Royce Lewis business.
Yes.
The veterans, we've got to stay on the field, and the young guys go to the next level. It's like he and Royce are communicating, like
they're
the
playing
Russians
badminton.
and the U.S. during the missile crisis.
They're playing badminton via the media.
So I think we've got the guys. It's the whole trade deadline mentality. Like, well, no one comes in, we're just going to win it anyway, kind of thing. Which is that's not anything unexpected or untoward or whatever. But
right, it's just
yes. So
it reminds me a little of in 2019 when I went to Max Kepler and said, what do the players think of this whole payroll thing? Because there was a whole bunch of people ticked that the Twins did not add much payroll from 2018 to 2019. And they had added Nelson Cruz. And so, I mean, it ended up being a really good year. But Max just kind of gave me this, like, looked through me like, we're not thinking about that. And again, it was like, and people, when I tweeted that, people were like, do you think he's really going to tell you? And I'm like, valid point. I think he was being genuine. It was more along the lines of they can't really get wound up in that. But at the same time, too, he's probably not going to tell you, oh, yeah, it stinks that we're not spending more money.
Right. What do I want Carlos Correa to say? I guess I'm not 100% sure. I just know that what came out of his mouth, I didn't really like that much. What else is going on? Joe Ryan is rehabbing, and he's thrown, I don't know if he made it to 90 miles an hour, but at least 89. And 88, you're supposed to be able to go back in time. So I don't know what happens at 89 or 90. But
he looked good at Twins Fest Live,
which is
not Twins Fest. No, I mean like he was, he looked like he was in good spirits. He looked like, insofar as you can see in a man's eyes how they're feeling, he looked like he had been refreshed by the off season, which was, I think, a positive. Again, I'm just telling you
maybe emboldened a little bit, or just made confident by what was going on. Not it wasn't a drag to him. He's like he wasn't uncertain about it. He's like, I feel confident that this is progressing well, and I mentioned, like, we're kind of assuming that he's going to be good to go from the jump at spring training, and maybe he will be. And maybe I'm worried for nothing.
That's what Matt Cantorino said too. He told me he was feeling good. So
good.
Full go.
Good.
We're gonna get him on the show here.
That'd be great if we got Cantorino and Mickey Gaspar. And
I did, yeah. I don't know if I should tell it on the air, but we'll get Mickey on. Funny little conversation I had with him at Twins Fest Live. Actually, I think I mentioned most of it on the show on Monday. So anyway, should have a good chance of getting both those guys here in relatively short order.
That would be fun. I look forward to that. So some good news on that front as far as injuries go. Maybe a little bit of the same old stuff on not bringing any additional players in. There's nothing really going on with the sale. But Torii Hunter was asked, people have been speculating. There was a story about how Ishbia wants to potentially bring in, name Minnesota athletes to be part of the ownership group.
I think that was a Nightingale column.
Was it a Nightingale column?
I think it was Bobby,
And Tim and Torii Hunter has come out and said, heck yeah, who wouldn't want to be a baseball owner? So I thought that was neat that he's ready to embrace it. And, he made enough money where he could throw in a little bit and be a minority owner. And
apparently he's doing really well business-wise after his career too. Like he's got whatever he's investing in. And then Kevin Garnett's name came up, which would be hilarious if he's on better terms with the Twins than the Timberwolves, because he's in a blood feud with Glenn Taylor, who may or may not sell the team to A-Rod's group. But it'd be funny to have, KG be a big part of a Twins ownership group. Now, one thing I was thinking of, like, why do ownership groups get those guys involved, in your opinion? I mean, I think it's good to have forward-facing ambassadors who fans know and love, but is there more to it than that, in your opinion?
I don't know if there's too much more than that. It's not like people are going to think that they are the ones making decisions or anything like that. I think it is PR.
Nice trade, Torii.
I think it is. Hey, this is a fun thing to be a part of. You remember Torii Hunter robbing home runs and being gregarious and all that kind of stuff, and the great things that Torii Hunter did in the field. Well, now he's going to be part of the group. So the Twins vibe, the things that we think are important, ball players' perspective. He's going to be on the big council. I don't, like I said, I don't think anybody thinks that means they think they're, Torii is going to be making the decisions, but to be part of it, and he's part of the community. It's sort of like it's not what the Packers do, where the community actually owns the team, but it does help. I think fans feel like they can identify with that ownership level a little bit more when it's somebody like Torii Hunter.
Well, and if you're talking about ownership, to be clear, to own 1% of the Twins, if they sell at the 1.7 million mark that I've kind of seen floated,
Bill,
that's $17 million. So, I mean, that's like Torii Hunter's first year in Anaheim level cash. So, I mean,
right.
it's not like he's going to kick in.
It's not a controlling interest.
No, he might be at the board meeting, and that's about it.
Right. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
The other thing that I had was that Corey Koski has been not inducted yet, but named for the Twins Hall of Fame. He's going to be the honoree this summer, and I think that makes a lot of sense. He was a very good, not underrated. I don't think Twins fans underrated him, but he was a very good player. He had a kind of a short career, had some back issues, got out at 33, didn't start playing till 26. So he didn't have a really long career, but he was an above average hitter, especially for a third baseman, and was a very good defensive player. Didn't win any Gold Gloves, got MVP votes one time. But as far as Twins history goes, definitely an important player as far as the early 2000s go. And I'm happy to see them recognize him and put him in the Twins Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the concussions really wrecked his career too.
Yeah.
Still lives in the area, actually. He and Justin Morneau are a couple of Canadian players who played for the Twins that have found that they like it here. So that's kind of cool. You see him on the town ball circuit hitting home runs as a 50-whatever-year-old man. And, you can't do that when you're 30 like me. And so you kind of are like, wow, some people do have all the luck. One of my favorite Corey Koski little bits is that I didn't get to cover him as a player. I was, still in college when he ended up leaving, but he was at Twins Fest, just Twins Fest back in 2008.
Stop
and I almost tripped over a kid, and it would have been the kid's fault, but that's neither here nor there. And I look up at the dad to apologize, and he's wearing a beanie, and it's Corey Koski. And I'm like, holy bleep, you're Corey Koski. And he smiles. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm not going to create a scene or anything. I'm going to let you go about your business. I just, you feeling good? You doing good? He's like, we're okay. And then, not long after that, he retired, but he was just milling around the Metrodome with his little kids. And I don't know, it was just kind of cool to see someone like that as a human being before I covered them and kind of saw them that way a little more professionally.
He was at that time when he was a Twins player, I would have been writing for the Northwest Herald, covering the White Sox and Cubs. So when I'd get a chance to, and maybe the AP before that, he played 99 through 2006, I think. He didn't finish with the Twins, but And he was. I always thought he was funny. He kind of reminded me of like a California surfer dude a little bit. He's from Canada, but he kind of talked kind of laid back, sort of like Perry Farrell from the Rock and Roller and stuff. He was just he had a very fun vibe talking to him, and I liked that aspect that he brought to those Twins teams. He made them one of the guys that made them very likable. They had a few guys like that. Kadire was like that too. So
he and Corey Koski and Rocco Baldelli look surprisingly
I
close.
see it.
Yeah, when Corey was at Twins Fest and Rocco was there, I almost wanted him to do the Spider-Man pointing meme for a picture, but I didn't feel like I had that level of sway to ask for something like that.
What's Corey's hair level right now? Is it
nothing? Cue ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have the same color eyes?
Oh,
Corey's like a really blue-eyed dude. Is Rocco blue eyes?
I would guess like green, but I'm not sure. I got to talk to him at Twins Fest. That was pretty cool, but Twins Fest Live, not Twins Fest.
Can you write all this down for me and fill out a report about what happened at Twins Fest and Twins Fest Live?
I wasn't at Twins Fest. I wasn't at Twins Fest. I was at Twins Fest Live. I didn't go to Twins Fest.
Who can I ask about Twins Fest? What happened at it?
No, who's on first?
All right. At that rate, that's about all we got now for this episode of Locked On Twins. I'm Dave Brown. He's Brandon Warren. Nelson Mandela is somewhere.
Yeah.
Until next time, we're going to see you tomorrow night. Alexei.